Oh my God, Fanita.
Hello, I'm Willie Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I've been gone for the last few days. Stuff happens. Not going to elaborate. Just stuff happens. Been busy. But something came to my attention earlier today. And apparently there's been a plot, supposedly by the Iranian government, that to assassinate John Bolton, the former NSA advisor to Donald Trump, and also the former UN ambassador to under the Bush administration, George W. Bush administration. Now, I want it to be known that if the government of Iran were attempting to murder for John Bolton, I am opposed to it. No country should do this to anybody in another country, and I don't care which country does this shit. I want to make that very clear. As for John Bolton, should he be rotting in prison? Really? I mean, just wanted to throw that caveat out because for the stuff he did during the Bush era. I'm just want to throw that out from the get-go because I wanted you all to know where I'm going with this. But before I do, let's go and talk about this news event, and we will elaborate further. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll get to what we're going to get to momentarily. Give me a moment here. All right. Okay. All right. And here we go.
Iran's elite Revolutionary Guard Corps was charged by the United States on Wednesday with plotting to murder John Bolton, a national security advisor to former President Donald Trump. The Justice Department alleged that Shahram Poursafi of Tehran was likely motivated to kill Bolton in retaliation for the death of Qasem Solemnami, a commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Soleimani was killed in a U.S. drone strike in January 2020. Bolton left the White House in 2019. Iran does not have an extradition treaty with the United States, and Poursafi remains at large. According to the criminal complaint, Poursafi asked a U.S. resident to take photographs of Bolton. Under the guise the photos were needed for a forthcoming book, the U.S. resident then introduced Poursafi to a covert government informant who could take the photographs for a price. Investigators said the following month, Poursafi contacted the informant on an encrypted messaging application and offered the person $250,000 to hire someone to eliminate Bolton, an amount that would later be negotiated up to $300,000. When the informant asked Poursafi to be more specific in his request, he said he wanted the guy purged, and he provided Bolton's first and last name, according to a sworn statement in support of the complaint. In a statement on Twitter Wednesday, Bolton thanked the Justice Department for taking action, saying, quote, "While much cannot be said publicly right now, one point is indisputable. Iran's rulers are liars, terrorists, and enemies of the United States." Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman rejected the allegations Wednesday, according to local media, calling them baseless.
Okay. Well, here's the thing about that. Again, I don't support any government doing this to another government. I don't care which government it is. But having this said, I don't know if the United States has any moral clarity on this matter when you think about it, because, why? Well, let's go back to history a little bit, because history is where you need to go to clarify these things. Let's see here. You remember back in the early 2020, a long time ago, before COVID was barely in our consciousness. I mean, we thought it was just a temporary thing back then. Well, we didn't think it was going to be a crisis and all that. Well, Qasem Solemnami, a top Iranian general, was drone strike murdered by the U.S. government in Baghdad in military business. Now, true, John Bolton just left the administration months earlier. Donald Trump did the right thing firing him. He did the wrong thing hiring him. And that's a promise he broke right there, draining the swamp. John Bolton is part of the swamp. But this is connected. This has John Bolton's fingerprints all over it, the murder of Qasem Solemnami. Now, why would my heart bleed for Qasem Solemnami? Well, it's not that I think he's a nice guy, but the thing about it is that Qasem Solemnami, the Iranian government, has the same enemies as the United States. I mean, he actually did favors for the United States, not out of good intent on his part, but Qasem Solemnami had an ISIS problem. Iran has an ISIS problem. They don't have any use for ISIS anymore than the United States or any country in the West. Same thing with Syria. Same thing with Russia. The countries are vilified today. And I got my problems with all three governments. I have a problem with every government in the world. I also have a problem with the United States government too. Every country in the world has problems. Every country in the world deserves a degree of criticism. Every country. There's not a country that doesn't deserve criticism. But the United States definitely deserves criticism for the murder of Qasem Solemnami. So, this is part of the reason. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's justified to go and for this character to do what he did or attempted to do what he did. But you got to remember, what a sinister character John Bolton is. Because, John Bolton has never met a war and never met a criminal action of cruelty that he was not opposed to, where it could have been done by the U.S. government. I want y'all to never forget that. So this is the person in question. His name is Shahram Poursafi, and this is the one that's being accused of trying to murder John Bolton. Now, with regard to John Bolton, you got to remember and never forget I tried doing my part on this program to you never I remind y'all every few days what horrible dystopia this country went through from the year 2001 to 2009. I consider it one of the darkest time periods in modern American history. The George W. Bush presidency, worst president this country ever had. Still say the worst president this country ever had to this day. We are still recovering from the dystopia of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. And John Bolton, it was part of that. I mean, he was part of this. All the NSA spying, all the torture, the wars abroad, everything that was authoritarian, unconstitutional, violation of international law, war crimes. He was part of this network. And I have always said he was no better than the terrorists themselves that they were going after. Yes, the terrorists were bad, but so were people like John Bolton. And John Bolton walks around just like Henry Kissinger as a free man, free to make lectures and all of that. I blame John Bolton for a lot of the shit that Venezuela went through during the Trump years. Because you got to remember that during the Trump years, what they went through with the tightening of the sanctions and everything. No fan of Joe Biden. No, but I'm glad that he. I am glad that he decided to go and ease sanctions on Venezuela, which is why we have lower gas prices finally. They're not low enough. Granted, they are not low enough, but we are having lower gas prices. But I just want you to never forget what about the time periods that we have suffered under the time period with Bush and Cheney, having someone like John Bolton in the administration, and to have this guy, John Bolton, back. I was so upset when Donald Trump appointed him as NSA advisor. I mean, what the fuck were you thinking? You campaigned in the 2016 primaries against Jeb Bush, against Ted Cruz, against Marco Rubio, because they represented that swamp that George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were wallowing in. They represented that swamp. And you were supposed to represent something different, Mr. Trump. But then you go around and you have someone like John Bolton in your administration. I mean, but when you fired him, that was one of the best things you did in your 4 years. It was one of the best things you did. You even got Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks praising you. That was an amazing feat. But suffice to say, folks, this guy, I don't want any pity made for John Bolton. No, I don't want any harm done to him other than being in prison. But there's not to be any pity made for the guy. Because he's nobody to be pitied. He isn't. John Bolton, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld's dead. Gene Haskell's still alive. Condoleezza Rice is still alive. Colin Powell's dead. All these people in the administration. Hey, I'm not partisan. You got people. Hillary Clinton voted for the war back in 2002. So did Joe Biden. These people voted for the. They got just as much to do with the disappearance of 1 million lives in Iraq, innocent lives, over a lie that weapons of mass destruction. There were no weapons of mass destruction. And I remember having to argue with people up into the year 2012 and 2013 and 2014 about weapons of mass destruction. There were people out there during the Obama years, just to be contrary, and they're like, there were weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. I mean, there were people still arguing. I mean, yeah. I mean, Rush Limbaugh was still arguing, and Mark Levin and people like that. You see, but the thing about it is that with this attempt, this murder attempt by Shahram Poursafi by the Iranian government is going to give the right-wing media, your Mark Levins, your Glenn Becks, your Jesse Kelly's, your Ben Shapiro's. It's going to give them a boner because there are 4 presumably straight men, but they have a boner for people like a hard-on for people like John Bolton, because all of them have said that so themselves in the past. And so you're going to hear about how great John Bolton is. So they can't decide whether they love Donald Trump or not half the time, but when they do, they do. And then but you know that they love people like John Bolton more. So there you have it. Anyway, we have on the chat line here, Fireball Russ. How are you doing today? And we have a couple other people. I guess they're just watching right now. So hello to everybody else. If y'all like what you heard, press like and comment. Feel free to discuss and give your takes, and we'll have a conversation, yay or nay. Feel free to share the content on this channel, any content I may have. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and remember to always reject corporate media because they have absolutely nothing to offer. Got some interesting news for you on the side. This coming Saturday, it's been confirmed, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Radical Leftist Agenda, who is a online leftist streamer on mostly on Twitch. I will be interviewing her at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Really, really cool person. I will put down her YouTube and Twitch link. So I encourage you all to subscribe to her and just go ahead and subscribe to her channel and give her support. She's really good, and she's got a great channel, and she's great to chat with too. So anyway, and until next time, everybody, we will end with, of course, what I always end with, and that is music. Take care.